Hello everyone. We're from Group 3 and we will be presenting about pay performance and financial incentives from Chapter 12. Financial incentives were first popularized by Frederick Taylor back in the late 1800s. Taylor made three contributions. He saw the need for formulating a fair day's work, namely precise output standards for each job. He also spearheaded the scientific management movement, which emphasizes improving work through observation and analysis. And he also popularized using incentive pay to reward employees who produce over standards. Managers usually classify incentive pay into these two terms, which are the pay for performance plans and the variable pay. Pay for performance plans refers to performance-based pay programs where an employee is incentivized and rewarded for achieving goals or objectives. Whereas variable pay programs encompass a variety of discretionary and non-discretionary bonuses that can vary according to the payout period, the employees who are eligible, and the metrics that employees are measured against. An example for this is the profit sharing plans, which will be discussed later on. Although incentive plans may seem favorable, in reality, it hasn't really proved to be so. As logical as it seems to link pay to performance, about 83% of companies with such programs say their programs are at best somewhat successful. One study found that just 28% of the 2,200 and 600 workers it surveyed said their companies' incentive plans motivated them. So employees don't actually see a strong connection between pay and performance, and their performance is not particularly influenced by the company's incentive plans. Another problem is that incentive might incentivize the wrong behavior. For example, incentivizing number of cars sold in a dealership might produce high performance in numbers of cars sold, but low per car profit, which undermines its strategy to boost dealer profit. Another big reason for incentive plans often dismal result is the fact that incentives that may motivate some employees or people won't motivate others. Compensation experts therefore argue that managers should understand the motivational basis of incentive plans. These are the motivation theories that have been linked with creating incentive plans. The first theory is the motivation theory of Frederick Herzberg. He said that the best way to motivate someone is to organize the job so that doing it provides challenge and recognition. We all need to help satisfy the higher level needs for things like accomplishment and recognition. These needs are relatively insatiable, so challenging work provides a sort of built-in motivation generator. Doing things to satisfy workers' lower level needs for things like better pay and working conditions is just to keep the person from becoming dissatisfied. And it is risky as they will inevitably will ask for maybe pay raise more often. The second one is from Edward Deci. He also mentioned that relying too much on extrinsic rewards such as money may backfire, as extrinsic rewards because sometimes detract from a person's intrinsic motivation. And next one, Victor Vroom says that a person's motivation to exert some level of depends on three things. The first one is the person's expectancy in terms of probability that his or her effort will lead to performance. Next one is instrumentality, or the perceived connection, if any, between successful performance and actual obtaining the rewards. And the last one is valency, which represents the perceived value the person attaches to the reward. Vroom's theory has three implications for how managers design incentive plans. The first is that if employees don't expect that effort will produce performance, no motivation will occur. Managers must ensure that employees have the skills to do the job and believe they can do the job. Thus, training, job descriptions, and confidence building and support are important in using incentives. The second, Vroom's theory suggests that employees must see the instrumentality of their efforts. They must believe that successful performance will in fact lead to getting the reward. Managers can accomplish this, for instance, by creating easy to understand incentive plans. Third, the reward itself must be of value to the employee. Ideally, the manager should take into account individual employee preferences. And the last one, Skinner suggested that using incentives also assumes that managers understand how consequences affect behavior. Managers apply Skinner's principle by using behavior modification. Behavior modification means changing behavior through rewards or punishments that are contingent on performance. For managers, behavior modification is categorized to two main principles. First, that behavior that appears to lead to positive consequences or reward tends to be repeated, whereas behavior that appears to lead to negative consequences, punishment, tends to not be repeated. And second, that managers can therefore get someone to change his or her behavior by providing the properly scheduled rewards or punishments.
Hello, my name is Andy Adrian, and I will continue the presentation. My part will be about individual employee incentive and recognition program. So, incentive and recognition program are a key factor in motivating and retaining top-performing employees. There are several incentive plans that are particularly suited for use with the individual employees. The first one is piecework. Piecework is a system of pay based on the number of items processed by each individual worker in a unit of time, such as item per hour or item per day. For example of piecework, the employees get 40 cents a piece of stamping out door jams. Then, the employee will get $80 for stamping out 200 door jams. And then there is straight piecework. Straight piecework is an incentive plan in which a person is paid a sum for each item the employee makes or sells, with a strict proportionality between result and reward. And then there's standard hour plan. Standard hour plan is a plan by which a worker is paid a basic hourly rate, but is paid an extra percentage of the employees for production exceeding the standard per hour or per day. Standard hour plan is like a piecework plan, but there's one difference is instead of getting a rate per piece, the worker gets a pay premium equal to the percent by which the employee's performance exceeds the standard. There is the advantage and disadvantage of piecework. The first one, advantage, is that they are simple to calculate and easily understood by employees. It increases the efficiency of all the employees. And then the number of product produced is much higher. And disadvantage of piecework is losing quality for the sake of quantity, of course. losing the team spirit, and equipment maintenance tend to decline as employees focus on maximizing quantity. The next one is merit pay as an incentive. Merit pay or a merit raise is a salary increase from the firm to awards an individual employee based on their individual performance. Merit pay is different between bonus. In merit pay, it usually becomes part of the employer base salary, whereas bonuses are generally one-time payments from the firm. And then there's the advantage. The first one is reward people for performing at their best. And then it creates a system of healthy competition that benefits the employer. And it quickly identifies workers who are underperforming in their job, at their job, I mean. And then there's disadvantage of merit pay. First one is without clear measurables, merit pay can be subjective. And it can leading to the concern about favoritism. And it creates cliques within the employees pool, and it eliminates any teamwork emphasis that exists. Okay, next one is incentive for professional employees. Professional employees are those whose work involve the application of learned knowledge to the solution of the employer's problems. Example of professional employees such as lawyers, doctors, economists, engineers, and etc. It's challenging to making an incentive pay decision for professional employees. However, firms usually pay professionals very well. For another, they are already driven by the desire to produce high caliber work and receive recognition from their colleagues. And in some cases, offering financial reward to people like these professional employees may actually diminish their motivation level.
So now let's move on to financial and recognition-based award. So aside from the financial incentive, companies could also reward their employees by providing social recognition and performance feedback. For example, maybe they can create Employee of the Month program, or they can give, or managers can give direct feedback to the employees about how they perform. And then there's also the job design. Although job design is not usually considered as a reward program, but it is actually one of the primary driver of employee engagement. And a good job design will significantly impact employee motivation and retention. And now let's talk about incentives for salespeople. First, let's talk about salary plan. So salary plan is basically a fixed salary that the company gives to the salespeople. It may be just a fixed salary, or maybe also with a small incentive to sell more of the company's product. And then there's also the commission plan. And with the commission plan, salespeople earn money based on what they sell on that specific month. So if they sell more product, then that means the salespeople will earn more portion of the sales. And this is more attractive to high-performing salespeople as they can earn much more money than with just a fixed salary plan. However, with commission plan, some hard-to-sell product maybe did not appear interesting to the salespeople, and so they will not be able to sold that product, and they will focus only selling on the successful product. And then there's also combination plan where companies might provide salespeople with fixed salary and also with the commission plan. So with this plan, usually employers 70% of the salespeople earning are from the salary, and then 30% of it are from the commission plan. And however, the company also try to maximize the sales result. And one of the way to maximize sales results is to set sales quota, because high-performing salespeople might want to sell as much product as they want because they will earn more portion of the sales. However, that can be quite devastating for the company, because that means that the company must pay a lot of percentage of the sales to the salespeople. So it is important to set sales quota that the salespeople must meet. And then a company also should distinguish among performers so they can allocate the quota and the resources better.
And next is incentives for managers and executives. Strategy and the executive's long-term and total rewards package. The executive's reward components are base salary, short and long-term incentives and benefits. They must align with each other's and with the company's strategic aims. First, specify the strategic aim, and then deciding whether long-term behaviors such as boosting sales, cutting costs, and so on can be done. They're important for achieving these strategy aims. Using multiple strategy-based performance criteria for incentivizing executives is the best. Those criteria are followed: financial performance, number of strategic goals met, employee productivity measures, customer satisfaction surveys, and the employee moral surveys. Another key point is Sarbanes-Oxley Act. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 22 affects how employers formulate their executive incentive programs. Congress passed Sarbanes-Oxley Act to inject a higher level of responsibility into executives and board members' decisions. Meanwhile, there is short-term incentives and the annual bonus. Employers are shifting away from long-term incentives to put more emphasis on short-term performance and incentives. Most firms have annual bonus plans for motivating managers' short-term performance. Such short-term incentives can easily produce plus or minus adjustment of 25% or more to total pay. Eligibility, fund size, and individual performance are three factors that mainly influence one's bonus. Annual bonus, as referred in the beginning, is the plans that are designed to motivate short-term performance of managers that are tied to company's profitability. These are the factors that influence one's bonus. As mentioned before, first is eligibility. Traditionally, most base annual bonus eligibility on job level, title, base salary, and/or officer status. A few based on the eligibility on job level or job title or salary. Based on the survey, trends these days indicated that salary grade or band was the most common eligibility determined rather than the job title or officer status. Next is fund size. Most employers, 33% in one survey, traditionally use the sum of target approach. The approach estimates the likely bonus for each eligible target employee and the total is to arrive at the bonus pool size. More employers are funding the short-term bonus based on financial result nowadays. To the last, there is individual performance. Individual performance, typically the employer sets a target bonus as well as maximum bonus, perhaps double the target bonus for each eligible position. Financial performance measures such as return on assets, revenue growth, and so on are used to measure each manager's performance. The employer computes preliminarily total company bonus estimates and compares the total amount of money required with the bonus fund available. These are the multiplier approach to determining annual bonus. As you can see on table 12-2, there is individual performance divided into excellent, good, fair, and poor grades, and company performance based on sales target weight 0.50, also as excellent, good, fair, poor level. Depending on the performance of individual and performance of the company, this approach suggests the annual bonus that varied in number.
Okay, and then we discuss other executive incentives to make the executive stay to the firm. So the first method or the first way is golden parachutes, or extraordinary payments companies make to executive in connection with a change in company ownership or control. Then the second way is by loans, by guaranteeing large loans to directors and officers to buy company stock. Okay, now let's move on to another learning objective, which is team and organization-wide incentive plans. In these learning objectives, we focus on individual employee incentive. Okay, so the first way is how to design team incentive. So as the company needs the hard work or the work of the employee, so yeah, it is needed for the company to make a team or incentive plans. It is a plan in which a production standard is set for a specific work group, and its members are paid incentives if the group exceeds the production standard. In this case, there are pros and cons, or there are advantage and disadvantage, which are reinforcing team planning and problem solving, and it also can help answer cooperation, and it also facilitates training. However, the big problem in team incentive plan is the existence of free riders, as the drawbacks is the demotivating effects of free rider workers. Then, as we know that there will be unfair in the team incentive plans, so there is a way which pay employees based on their individual contribution rather than on collective team performance. So in team incentive plan, the employer will pay the reward as a whole team. However, we know that, for example, in a team, there will be a hard worker. However, and also there will be a free rider who don't do much in the task. So it will be make unfair. So the employer usually do the organization-wide incentive plans, which is incentive plan in which all or most employees can participate. So yeah, it's actually to tie the reward based on the company-wide performance. Then another way is profit sharing plan. Profit sharing plan is a plan whereby employees share in the company's profits. There are two types here. The first one is current profit sharing, which employee shares in a portion of the employer's profit quarterly or annually. So here the firm simply distributes a percentage of profit, for example, usually 15% or 20% as profit shares to employee as regular intervals. And another types of profit sharing plan is deferred profit sharing plan. The employers put cash award into trust accounts for the employee's retirement. So it's actually then will be used to the pension plan. Then another way is Scanlon plan. It is an incentive plan developed in 1937 by Joseph Scanlon and designed to encourage cooperation, involvement, and sharing of benefits. There are 5 basic features here. The first one is philosophy of cooperations. This philosophy assumes that managers and workers must rid themselves of the us and them attitudes that normally inhibit employees from developing a sense of ownership in the company. Then the second one is identity. This means that in order to focus employee involvement, the company must articulate its mission or purpose, and employees must understand how the business operates in terms of customers, prices, and costs. Then the third one here, there's competence. The program, say 3 expert, explicitly recognizes that a Scanlon plan demands a high level of competence from employees at all levels. Then the fourth one is involvement system. Employees present improvement suggestions to the appropriate department level committees which transmit the valuable ones to the executive level committee. Then it decides whether to implement the suggestions. Then the last one is sharing of the benefits formula. If a suggestion is implemented and successful, all employees usually share in 75% of or 50% of the savings. For example, assume that the normal monthly ratio of payroll cost to sales at 50%. So then if the sales are 100,000, then they will get 50,000 for the benefits. Okay, that's all.
Hello everyone. Now I will be talking about the last part of this chapter, which is the other types of incentive plans. So firstly, there are 3 types of incentive plans. The first one is the gain sharing plan, in which it engages employees to achieve the objectives of the company by sharing the profit. An example of this would be the Lincoln Incentive Plan, which employees are paid on a piece rate basis, and they distribute their profit, annual profit based on merit rating. So the main advantage of this is that it increases loyalty and motivation as employees are directly notified of the successes of the company. And the main disadvantage is that if they're not paid on time or they're not paid in a certain period, they become unmotivated. The next incentive plan is the at-risk pay plan, which puts some of the portion of employees' normal pay at risk if goals are not met, but he or she obtains the bonus if they exceed their certain target. An example of this would be commissions in car dealership. So the salesperson has to reach a certain target by the end of the month in order to get the bonus. So the main advantage of this type of pay is that it encourages subordinates to work hard and achieve that certain target, while the main disadvantage is that it is not useful if he or she has a bad work ethic. And the last type of incentive plan is the employee stock ownership plans, in which a corporation shares its own stock to the trust, and this trust distributes the stock to the employee on retirement or separation from service, and they can purchase this stock. So the main advantage of this is that employee has a sense of ownership in the company and might become more motivated to work harder. And the disadvantage is that setting up the employee stock ownership plans is very expensive. So let's talk about the incentives in practice. So the company chosen is Nucor, and it is the largest steel producer in the United States. And employees must partake in one of the 4 incentive plans: production, department, professional, and senior office plans. And it depends on which ranking you are in the business. And the business divides 10% of yearly operating profits to the employees. And now, how do managers make their employee more engaged? Well, here are what researchers say. The first point is that employee engagement may not be the goals of the compensation plans. And the second point is that to encourage engagement through incentives, one must measure how supervisors are encouraging their workers to be more engaged in the company. And the second point is that we must use incentives to reward supervisors for improving employee engagement. And the last point is we need to involve the employees in developing the reward programs so that they know how much they are paid and how much they are worth to the business. So thank you for watching and listening, and that is all for us from Group 3.